말씀하신 멀티컬처럴리즘인데 한국에서 이 정의를 너무 작게 잡아놓은 것 같다고 생각을 했어요. 그래서 그냥 우리가 그거 다문화 가정이라는 사람들을 아예 차별하는 게 아닌가. 제가 너무 마음에 와닿았던 한 구절이 있는데 사회 속 다른 인형들이 사회 속 다른 인형 간에 평화로운 공존이 있어야 남북 간에 평화가 있을 수 있다고 생각을 해요. 평화에도 두 가지로 정리가 될 수 있는데 소극적 평화와 적극적 평화가 있어요. 소극적 평화가 이루어져야지 그 다음에 적극적으로 평화를 얘기할 수 있는데 이 소극적 평화가 한국 내에서 이런 다문화 우리 외국인들과 이런 차별이 없는 사회를 만들고 다른 기관이나 한국 내에서 인연이 다른 사람들과의 평화가 이루어져야지 그 다음에 우리가 통일에 대해서 이야기할 수 있지 않을까 생각을 하게 되었어요. 너무 감사합니다.
Yes, I think that's a very nice point too. So she talked about the two steps or two aspects about peace itself and what is like passive peace and what is active peace. And if you think about the passive peace, we mentioned that you said that in this country itself, it needs to have peace between the people inside first in order to achieve peace as a nation and even more globally as a worldwide peace.
Yeah, even like I'm like Texan Korean. If I tell Korean, I'm Korean. This is where are you from? But I can't say I'm from Pakistan because I lived in Pakistan for 5 years. I came here when I was 5. But if I think about it, if I'm married with like Korean and if I have kids, they're gonna be Korean. And if someone asks them where are you from, they're gonna say we are Korean, but they will look different. So they will get hurt. So we have to understand and we have to get this kind of education from schools to understand. So this has to be like sorted out. This problem has to be like sorted out first, and we can talk about that peace with North Korea.
다문화 가정이 한국에서도 잘 적응하는 게 바로 평화를 위한 첫 번째 단계죠.
그 다음에는 그냥 그 한국인의 결혼하는 우리는 알고 우리 모두가 차별받지 않는 그런 사회가 되는 게 다문화.
그리고 그게 먼저 첫 단추가 되어야 나중부터 평화를 이끌어낼 수 있습니다. Okay, so I think we have a very nice, productive, and profound discussion about what our youth can do to bring peace. And just to summarize, I guess, to my extent of, I don't think I can include everything that you guys said, but we talked generally about the education, and we generally talked about the humanity, realizing that we are all humans at the end, and we talked about learning history on different perspectives, and that's important because it is always important to learn how others think of you. And to finalize what you said last was, I think that was very touching for me too, is to make peace within this country first, and then think about peace globally and worldwide. And that was a very nice point as well. And before we end, I think the time is almost to end. So before we end, if there's anyone who would like to add final comments about this, this is your time, and then we will end. Yes. Yes, please.
Going off of what you just said about like making peace within one's own country before thinking about making peace global. The U.S., if everyone should, I don't know if everyone does know, but the U.S. is on fire right now, especially concerning the Black Lives Matter movement and also civil rights movement. The reason why I say it's fire is because even during the pandemic, there has been huge protests all around the country. And I'm from Texas, so we've had some of the biggest protests as well. But talking about leadership, what Sean had mentioned before, are not just like federal, but also local. It comes down to local, just people taking the initiative, going online and becoming advocates for peace, advocates for civil rights in each state, and has gone global. So the movement for Black Lives Matter has moved to Europe, has moved on to Korea, has moved on to everywhere. And I think it has come down to just the people themselves picking up their own phone and making blogs and making sure that misinformation is not spread and that people do know the truth. So yeah, I completely and totally agree about the statement saying like we have to make peace within our own country. So I'm very vocal about how I feel about civil rights and female reproductive rights and stuff like that. So I make sure that I tell my friends and I tell family, if they don't like it, that's their own issue. But I do believe the notion, like if it's not my problem, I still want to learn out a helping hand, and one step I can make someone else's life better, and so on and so forth. It's a domino effect kind of thing. So that's all I want to say.
Yeah, I also want to add on the same topic, that I also think it's very important to have peace within the country, as she said, when it becomes an issue of, when you come to a country and people start questioning you about where you come from, and you say, for example, this happened to me too, it's a global thing, I live in a multicultural society, and when I was younger, I would say, I'm Swedish, and then they would always ask, but where does your parents come from? And I have to explain, well, my father is from Chile and my mom is from Tanzania, but I'm me. Like, why can't you just accept that answer? And I think that's like an important discussion to have, not just like for people that come to Korea, because there's a lot of interracial couples that get children here, and then they have to experience the same thing, but then globally as well. Despite being the US or being Sweden, where you might think that we've come far when it comes to that, there's still issues like that. And it's something that needs to be widely discussed, and it needs to be something that people get even more educated about. And I also believe that people that chooses to be ignorant should have some sort of consequence in that sense. Because I don't think ignorance is an excuse anymore. So that's what I want to say.
Ignorance is not an excuse, and this.
I think that's like a really important point in terms of conversating about things like purpose in a larger sense. Because like once like small, like their own bias becomes if that person is in a position like Hitler, for example, like it becomes like a big move of like false like whole violence situation happening. So I think like starting from like where individual, like how they think, and it could be a butterfly effect. So I guess like in a connection to our whole topic, like starting from us like with me like at the moment, and constantly educating myself about what is my own biases and constantly rechecking myself is like I think to make this word a better word in a bigger sense.
Thank you. I think that was a very nice summarization of what we have all said. Is there anyone who would like to speak before we close
I'd like
session?
to just make one comment. I think Swedish I think it's a good point that I can relate to, but I fail to see why what they said is discrimination and race. I don't think it is. I think it's something that can actually change, because just by asking someone where are you from, where you really from, you shouldn't take it negatively. It's just because they're curious. You know, if you take it very seriously, in Muslim countries for the most part, people are just used to saying Korean, ethnic Koreans, right? So if someone who looks like a foreigner says that Korean, that's going to raise some eyebrows, and people would be curious. So I don't think we should take things like that negatively. You should just understand, even though it's annoying having to tell your life story 100 times every day, it's important to understand the person.
I agree with you. Some of us, I guess, I might be just really curious about that question, but I guess I should be careful and be respectful and have a very respectful attitude when I am asking this question. And just be careful about it.
I understand that argument, like in Korea, because Korea is still not used to it, it's a new thing, it's becoming more usual here now, that in my case, in my country, it's been going on for so long in the multicultural society. So for me, it's kind of when people ask. But then I understand here because it is a new thing, and I don't get asked that because I don't say I'm Korean. So, but I can understand where Koreans come from when they ask it. It's just for me and in my country, it's kind of I don't accept that as an answer.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You're right. Yeah, I mean, if you look at countries like America, for example, you just say if you're from Denver, if you're from Washington, who's just not your black, white, or Asian. You can just say you're from those cities, and it doesn't matter. People take it as it is, but Korea is on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I guess Sweden's somewhere in the middle. It's not like America in the sense that it's a total melting pot, but
We're pretty similar to America.
Sorry?
We're pretty similar to America. We're
yeah,
not that different. Yeah.
yeah.
We're just smaller in population.
I think it's interesting. Another point would be that like you cannot maybe just always take it as negatively, but in the other hand, like they should think before they ask questions to you. Like they should be thoughtful before they approach to other people that who has like another like culture background than you. Then I think it's just like goes to the mutual respect. And there are definitely cases that there are people who just ask the questions to definitely offend people, and that's in some other cases. So I think it's like a both way.
In a society like mine where it's multicultural already, and it starts being like, oh, my people and your people in that kind of society, it just kind of becomes hostile, I would say. And that's when I think it becomes a problem right now. I mean, if this would have been where people generally come from a positive and good place, then I think it would be taken differently. But then nowadays that is not the case, unfortunately, and they usually use that against you in some weird way. So I think that's where this whole line like that comes from.
Okay, because of time, I think we'll end session 2 right about here, and can you finish? Okay, so it was a very long but fruitful and productive, and it was really nice to hear everybody's thoughts on what the youth can do to bring peace. And I really, as I already summed up, I'm not going to sum up again. And although it was a very short period of time, I think you're really able to contemplate the roles of the youth and preserving peace in the Korean Peninsula with delegates from each country. And we even moved forward and we talked about how to gain peace all globally, not just in the Korean Peninsula. So that was very touching as well. So to conclude our second session, I hope that it was an opportunity for everyone to look back at the tragedy of war and really consider what we can do to bring peace as a youth. I think we need a big round of applause. Have a break for just 10 minutes, and then we will come back and finish with section 3. And on section 3, we'll talk about the peace in the Korean Peninsula. So please fill in your blank before we start section 3, and we will resume in 10 minutes. Okay.